Hey, it's Stan, and today's review is going to be on the very first episode of Boku Dake ga Inai Machi. And the English translation of this anime is erased, for simple terms. And this episode, it was fucking crazy. I was kind of scared, and it was shocking. Like, there was multiple parts in this episode where there were fucked up parts mentally. Okay, and we find out that this main character, his name is Satoru. He is 29 years old and he works at a pizza place, but he was a manga artist beforehand, and he failed, obviously, so that's why he's working at that pizza place. Overall, for the main character's character, I'm pretty sure he's meant to be bland like this, but he wasn't interesting until the fact that we got to see his power being, shown to us, and it was called the revival. And the revival, that really reminded me of Steins Gate. I watched Steins Gate not too long ago, and he can go back. He tells us that he can go back in time a couple seconds, few minutes, to see what happens to avoid, certain tragedies. And we see that happening in this case where the truck driver is about to run over this kid, but for some reason it was really weird. I don't think this would ever happen in real life. You can just call this an anime situation. The truck driver he gets a fucking heart attack in the middle of driving, unless he was listening to some hardcore fucking music. I don't think you can fucking get a heart attack when you're driving. Okay, and also we find out that her mother, she's very smart, and she, I forgot, I think she worked she was a police woman, or she was an investigator or something. And when Satoru and his mom came out of the fucking grocery store or whatever the store, she's very perspective, or whatever the fucking word of the area when they came out, and she noticed that this very suspicious guy who looked like he was about to kidnap this one child that was walking there. And for some reason the killer, he's very smart too, so he noticed her noticing him. So that was pretty interesting. That means she's smart, but he's smarter than her. So after that, we find out that there was this kid who 18 years ago there was a kid that got kidnapped, and it was one of the classmates of our main character Satoru, and her mom told him about it. So he was very, he was trying to imagine. He couldn't remember his past for some reason. I'm pretty sure there was some sort of tragic moment, so he can't remember his past. And in the final moments of this episode, he goes home and his fucking mother is stabbed. I'm like, oh my shit. Okay, and at the last moment when he fucking grabs the sword, and she was touching her mom, obviously, because she died. Blood was all over his fucking hands, and as soon as that happened, fucking neighbor comes over and fucking points fingers at her. Him. She starts screaming. She wasn't really pointing fingers at him, but obviously by screaming she was kind of saying that he killed her. And then the cops came, and then obviously he got blamed for that situation. And I thought that was fucked up, for them assuming that he would kill his own mother. Obviously, if any person was to see that situation, ahead of time, or any person who comes to that room to see that situation, obviously you would, in my case too, you would assume that the person's blood on his hand was, the killer, but obviously it wasn't. And then at the end, also, he goes back into his childhood when he was 10 years old, which was kind of fucking crazy, because we just found out his powers can only go so far, but now we just got another reveal of his powers that can go years and years and years back into time. And yeah, this episode was pretty damn good. A1 Pictures did a good job of the animation format and the intense music when the revival shit happens. That fucking scared the fuck out of me when he uses the revival, like zzz, that fucking sound. Cause I was wearing my headphones and I was putting the volume at least like halfway. That fucking scared the shit out of me. Yeah, and overall this episode was good. What did you guys think about this episode? I'm gonna continue watching this episode. I mean this series because obviously it's fucking good. I'm out, guys, and that's all for this review.